Welcome back to another episode of the Family Business Podcast. I'm your co-host, Andrew Poncho Glover, and we are welcoming back Alex Jean Glover from her little small vacay.
1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z. Back to raps, I won't miss. Heard the beat and I kissed. Sing a lot, but I switched. Yeah, bet you rappers so pissed. Now I'm high up with the stars. Yeah, I'm on the path up to Mars. Yeah, told me I wouldn't get far. Yeah, how you let go these bars? Yeah, how this kid fit so authentic? Why did I live that I said it? Yeah, flow is so sick, need a medic. Lies so corny, let's dead it. Yeah, I just prove what I do. Yeah, name is Tom, but no cruise. Yeah, beat is on and I cruise. Yeah, vibe is lit in my cruise. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z.
Podcast. Alex, glad to have you back on the podcast. Let us know about what's been going on since you were absentee from the last time we talked to you.
Since the last time you talked to me, I've had quite a few games. So we went to Florida as a team trip. We played at UCF, who is ranked, I think they're ranked 23rd now, and we did lose to them in 4. But I would like to say that was a very fun trip because our team went to Universal in between UCF and our next game, USF. We did end up beating USF the next game. Then we turned around and this last week we played Temple and ECU, in which we swept both. So we have a big week of us ahead. We play U of H, Houston, who is ranked first in our conference right now. And we're hoping to give them their first conference loss. They are ranked, I believe, 22nd, right above UCF. So we're hoping we can take them down and give ourselves a chance at the NCAA tournament. How did your teams do this week?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations in the last 2 weeks on going 3-1, with your team. And congratulations as well. It's the first time in quite some years that you guys have reached the 20-win mark. So that's major, in volleyball. And I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the team. And I'm looking for a big weekend coming up against Tulane and University of Houston. So speaking of my teams, where I went to college, Grambling State University, they were local here in Houston, Texas, and I was at the game on Saturday, and it did not look good for the Grambling Tigers. TSU are the Tigers as well, and they really showed us on Saturday who the real Tiger was on that particular day. Professionally, I am sporting the team that I want to be associated with this week, the Minnesota Vikings. They happen to be 8-1 in the NFL and have one of the best records in the whole NFL. So since I had tenure with the Minnesota Vikings, this week I choose to be a Viking. The Saints lost and the Raiders lost this past week. So there's really not a whole lot to speak of. So back to you. I know you were away from the show, and just could you let our listeners and our viewers know a little bit about what you've been doing academically to prepare for graduation that's coming up real soon?
Right. So I do graduate coming up in about a month. So I've just been finishing, applying for grad school, trying to figure out what grad program I want to be in, getting in my last test, my last papers, sending in academic recommendations for grad school, and just trying to figure out kind of what I want to do since I do start that in January. I will be doing a 1-year grad program, hopefully in the business school at Cox, doing MSM, which is management science. So that's what I'm looking forward to right now academically. But I do have a question for you because you did mention that you get to choose which team you want to root for after the games are already played. So since you only went to one college and they continue to lose, do you still identify with that team week after week?
Absolutely. I'm all heart. I'm all Gremlin. I'm a G-man for life. So I can't walk away from that easily. I know that our team is a young team right now. We do have a coach that coached in the professionals in the NFL, and that's something that we have to work with. I think we have great foundation. I think we are inexperienced, and I just don't think that we have unity on our coaching staff, and people understand clearly what their roles and responsibilities are. So with the combination of having a young team, having the combination of having a lot of different people in the locker room and not really knowing each other a great deal, then I think that lends to a lot of communication errors. And it's just something that a part of the game that you have to go through in order to get better. So I'm a G-man for life, and I'm going to continue to be, a support system to them, and a figure that comes around and that's supportive and that's always positive, because I think that we will be back on top real soon.
So I know you went to the game and you talked to a couple of players before the game. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of insight or what kind of positive tips you had to give them?
Well, while I was at the game on Saturday, I was actually on the sideline, and some of the other G-men, we all congregated on the sideline at the stadium in Houston. And some of the things that they encouraged the young guys about was to be disciplined, to definitely not turn the ball over. And I went talk to the team before they left on Saturday after their pregame meal. What I told them was to forget how to lose and to remember how to win. I think that the two games previous, they had won. And I wanted them to do some of the same things that caused them to win those games in the game on Saturday. TSU, who was Texas Southern University, they had other plans, and they came out, they executed better, they played better as a team, and they were present in the moment, and they took advantage of it. So until you do all those things and have a high level of discipline doing it, then you could expect that you're going to be on the losing end of the stick.
Right. And since we're on the topic of football, I know we wanted to talk about the Virginia football players that sadly passed away yesterday. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, I was really sad to see that. It's a lot of things that goes on, and being a student athlete, a lot of pressures, and you just don't know, what ticks people off. So you have to be very, very careful when you navigate that landscape. And you have to be aware, and you have to make sure that you have alliances, and you stay in the moment and try to know what's going on around you, because and especially when you're losing, all kind of things happen to losers, and they're susceptible, to different things outside of football. And with all the people and all the platforms and all the negative talk, it can really affect and impact their mental health. And so you need to try to, and when you're in a situation like that, you try to get help and seek help, and make certain that, when you go out, that you prepared and you're aware of what's going on at all times, because it's just a tragic thing for somebody to lose their life. I sympathize with their families. I pray for their families. I couldn't imagine how it would have affected me and my own family, but I know that, God willing, this time will pass, and he will enable them to get through it, not just as parents, but the community as well.
I agree. I think it's something very sad just for the athletic community in general. I know a lot of the facts haven't come out because it is fairly new, but to both whoever killed these young men on the football team and their families and the young men themselves, I think it's kind of a loss on all sides and a step backwards for athletic communities, all around the U.S. and gun violence and that kind of stuff. So it's a very sad situation. But to lighten the situation up, I want to talk about, on my side, something that this week has also happened in the media, and that is the Olivia Dunne and New York Times article that came out. So if you don't know, Olivia Dunn is a gymnast at LSU, and she's pretty known. She has millions of followers on all different kinds of platforms on social media. And New York Times wanted to do an interview with her for just kind of like going on her NIL deals and how she's getting so much exposure. And I guess they just wanted to do an interview with her. So they reached out, they flew down to LSU, did a photo shoot with her and kind of interviewed her, asked her how much she makes, how she's getting these deals, what are her favorite deals, that kind of thing. So she was under the impression that they were just doing, an article about how she's gaining so much traction for NIL and just social media in general. And then the article came out and it's about how sex appeals. So it kind of twisted the whole genre of what they were going to go off of. And they said that this girl, because she does post in bathing suits, like most of us teenagers or young women do these days. So she posts in bathing suits and her leotards and dancing and stuff like that, that she is putting out a bad image for NCAA women's athletes trying to get NIL deals, because they're saying this is what companies are trying to cater for. They're trying to get that look, which is not what it's about at all. So she had a little rebuttal on her Instagram about, hey, this is not what y'all told me y'all were interviewing me about. This is disgusting. And I agree. I don't think that's what it's about. I think if a company wants to work with you, I think it's because they like something that you had, and that can be your morals, your values. It could be maybe the way that you present yourself on social media or the presence that you just have, in the sports world or social media world in general. So I thought that was a very interesting and upsetting article to come out, and it kind of put us, I thought, 5 steps back, us women trying to get NIL deals, and they're saying that the only people who are going to get NIL deals are those ones who are posting the bikinis or trying to use their beauty for something that it's not. I thought that it was a negative step.
Yeah, I heard about that. And I also thought that as well. But I think that there's a lesson in that that other NIL athletes can learn from. And that's, how you present yourself and how secure you feel about talking to people about what you do, and being very selective in what you share with them, because they could easily take that information and distort it, and whatever you told them, make it sound like what they want it to appeal to the masses for. And I think that's a big disservice to the female athlete. I think that female athletes are as capable of, accomplishing great things on the field and off the field. And I think that we need to respect them, not just, for their athletic ability, but, for being very intelligent, for their intellect, because, they're a great help to society and we can't live without them. So, I think there's a healthy respect that has to happen in a situation like that. But you have to be aware that, everybody's not happy for you guys in that arena. They don't want to see you make the money. They feel like it's competition. But, I feel like competition is good. And I feel like if you can do the job, then you should get the job. And I think that, female athletes can do as well as athletes. I think that, you have to be supportive of that, and you have to take the initiative. A lot of this with NIL is being disciplined, taking the initiative and making it important to you. And if it is, then I think you'll have some success in it. So that's kind of the way I feel about it. I definitely don't feel like, males are better at it than females. I think that different people have different views about it, and different people are looking for different things: male, female, short, tall, and whatever they're trying to project and have their businesses be associated with.
I agree. I think that everybody has something else to offer. I mean, most NIL deals are because the athlete has something to offer outside of their sport, whether that's their presence or maybe a message that they send through social media. So I think NIL is more than just the face that goes through, because a lot of the times that can appeal to some people, but that can only go so far, So
So yeah, now I have a question for you. Since you come back with questions loaded up and ready to go, since you've been away and on vacation, and I've been working through your holiday. So, well, I want to make sure that our listeners know and understand that our show is called The Family Business, and it's about what happens under the roof or of a family of athletes and the things that go on, the level of disciplines that happen and all of that. And I've been thinking about this for a while with you, and I want to go back with our listeners and let them know a little bit about you, about what initially interested you in sports. When was the first time, whether it was on the playground, that you felt like that was something that you were interested in? I know, and I remember back in the day, during field day, you guys used to have schoolyard races, and I think that's the thing that initially I remember you doing, and then you starting your career in junior high playing volleyball. So can you take us back to that time when you guys used to have the schoolyard races on, I think it was field day or something like that, and how you integrated into volleyball?
Yeah, I think initially I probably thought that I was going to be a track runner because in elementary school we used to do the mile. And that was the first time, we really got to compete. And I always wanted to be the best in the mile. I was not always the best, but, I always wanted to be one of the first ones, at least if I could. So I liked that. And then during field day, we would do the track races. And finally, we got to sprint. So that's when I really started to take off. And I really started to win when we started to sprint. So I think while I was younger and doing that, I knew that I was some type of athletic and I love to compete. So kind of when we did intramurals in the 6th grade, they kind of threw me in volleyball. I didn't want to do basketball, so they threw me in volleyball. And honestly, that wasn't too bad. I had the height for it, so I was like, okay, I might as well start doing this. And 7th grade, I made the volleyball A team, so I was like, all right, I guess I'm not too bad, even though I probably at the time was one of the worst ones on the team starting off. But I think when I started volleyball, and everybody kept telling me, okay, you have potential, I really wanted to tap into that potential, so I started doing club and lessons, and I started getting better and better and better. So I think kind of just the progression of knowing I wanted to compete and then seeing how much potential I had in volleyball, those kind of matched up. And then I ended up still doing track, but track and volleyball all the time didn't align. And I just knew that there was more of an opportunity for me in volleyball, even if track was never there. So I kind of ended up doing both in high school and then just ended up taking off in volleyball. And I don't regret it. I do miss high jump sometimes and wonder what if I would have still done high jump or, still try to compete in college, but I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it with volleyball and my body been in top shape and been a top competitor in both. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the success that you had in track. And I think in one particular year, I think you may have won even 4 first places in all 4 events that you were participating in. And, it was a great time. I was very proud. And I thought that, one day it would end up helping you in volleyball. And how did you feel like when you ran track and you are a state qualifier and you actually placed in your junior year, 2nd place in the high jump, and I think in your sophomore year it was 5th place. So how do you think track transferred into volleyball and helped you as you continue to nurture your talents on the volleyball court?
I think definitely endurance. It helps me during the volleyball games now because, not specifically high jump, but those 400s, those are hard. So just the training for that, I still think that some of my track workouts were harder than my volleyball workouts now. So it helped me with that. High jump helped me with jumping, especially, the slide hit off of one foot and high jump being off of that same foot. I think it just helped me with the mechanics of that. And it kind of gave me a lead way into volleyball. So I think track, just the workouts and just every day, like you really can't stop during track. There are no timeouts. Once you start your race, you're kind of going. So think they're two very different sports, but I think track kind of filled in the gaps that volleyball does have. So I don't get as tired, or I'm able to have, a lot of people don't have speed and can jump. So I think that I have a good combination of both because of me running and jumping in track.
Yeah, that's I think a main reason why we started the show, the family business, because I think that being cross-trained in a couple of different sports allows the athlete to express themselves and see what they can actually do on different teams with different coaches, different things they like, different things they don't like. I'm not in favor of, us telling athletes they should just play one sport. I think that we should allow the student athlete to participate in multiple sports and allow them to figure out which one they're like and how and where they best express themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally on the floor and being part of a team. I am a big advocate for multi-sport athletes because I was, and I felt like that helped me to figure out exactly which one that I wanted to do. And that wasn't very hard because I was getting paid to play. Once I figured I got paid to play football, then I was able to throw everything else out the door. But there was an opportunity for me to play basketball or football. But I think participating in multiple sports gave me the opportunity to experience a lot of game moments, game situations, dealing with a lot of different teammates, dealing with a lot of adversity, dealing with a lot of opponents, and dealing with a lot of coaches. So anything that I did in football and whatever crises that I ran into, I was able to look back on experiences that I had in one sport or another one and utilize that to help me get through that sport.
Right. So do you think that you've seen a trend now of a lot of athletes only doing one sport or trying to only specialize in one sport? Or do you think we're doing a good, or I guess just sports right now is doing a good job, especially in junior high and high school, of keeping those athletes in multi-sports?
I think in some cases, athletes are playing multiple sports, but in a lot of cases, people are dictating what sport an athlete should play. Like, being in AAU basketball, and when you're AAU basketball and you're a traveler, they tell you don't play other sports because it takes so much time and it takes money and it takes effort, and then you still have to take care of your responsibilities as a student. So I think people put unnecessary pressure on those kids just to focus on one thing, and whether they really want to do that sport or not. But because the parents are paying and they're spending time traveling with it, then, they just can't economically do both. But I think it is a great opportunity if you can play multiple sports, because I think it makes you a more versatile athlete. And I think it makes you you could evolve into a plug and play player, no matter what you're doing. If you're playing football, if you're playing basketball, even if you run in track and field, there is something that I think an athlete, you don't have to specialize in the one particular area in order to go out and be impactful and make good plays for your team to have the opportunity to win.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our topics for today, but I have to ask my silly question that I have for you. I came up with this one this week, and I asked all my teammates this. So, let's say you have your eyesight. No matter what, you have your eyesight, but all of your other senses are gone, but you can only pick one to save. What is the other sense that you would save?
I could have my eyesight.
Yeah, everybody has their eyesight, but you have to choose between smell, taste, hearing, or touch.
Okay, I don't need to be able to hear. I can see. So I can answer that one out. That's what I figure if I could only have one more. I think taste, because I like to eat. I can't just see not being able to eat and taste. And what was the other ones? I don't even
and
need to know.
touch.
Smell and touch, I think I can get away with those. I need to be able to taste and see. I think hearing wise, I can just feel my way around, or I can see in the dark, or I can just see, in the day. So I would want to have taste. What about you? Which other sense would you like to not have other than your sight?
I would choose hearing. I just think that I need to be able to hear, because just learning Braille just at this age isn't something that I think I would particularly want to do. I could live without tasting. I think I've tasted and smelled a lot of stuff in my lifetime, so maybe I'll eat healthy now, since I can't taste. But I mean, personally, I want to hear. I want to hear something's happening. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching this episode of the Family Business Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And remember,
if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z. Back to raps, I won't miss. Heard the beat and I kissed. Sing a lot, but I switched. Yeah, bet you rappers so pissed. Now I'm high up with the stars. Yeah, I'm on the path up to Mars. Yeah, told me I wouldn't get far. Yeah, how you like all these bars? Yeah, how this kid fit so authentic? Why did I live that I said it? Yeah, flow is so sick, need a medic. Lies so corny, let's dead it. Yeah, I just prove what I do. Yeah, name is Tom, but no cruise. Yeah, beat is on and I cruise. Yeah, vibe is lit in my cruise. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, I know beats like ABC. Mine come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe. I came up to major leagues. Say you blind, but wait and see. Just so easy. 1, 2, 3, ABC from A to Z.